Hello everybody, my name is Howie, as you know, and today we're going to have a bit of a different video. It's going to be definitely unscripted, and something I wanted to talk a bit about today is unbelievers and the importance of them. And this comes from a place of personal experience as a student of the different teaching, whether it be Sunday mornings where I have class before our sermon, whether it be during the sermon, whether it be our college group. I think it's very important to take application of all of those, and I definitely have. And my friend Tyler, who is amazing, came up this weekend, and he is an unbeliever, and it's important that we are accepting of him when he comes up, and we always are for the most part. Now, the first night he came up, we had a debate, really. I don't know if you would call an unbeliever and a believer having a conversation debate. I mean, the point of a debate, as Ben Shapiro puts it, is you're trying to embarrass your opposition as much as humanly possible. I don't know if that is what Tyler's view was. I don't believe it was. But I know that my view was to get him to see flaws in his logic and see where my logic actually lines up. And I've been struggling with a lot of things lately. It's been pretty rough for me. One of the things that I was talking with him about is this thought that I've had in my mind, and what I was talking about with him about was, man, I really just want to get over this thought. And Tyler looks over at me and he says, you know how you've been stuck on this for a month? I'm just going to be blunt with you. You don't want to forget about it. You want to cling on to it. And I'm like, you are so extremely right. And it's interesting to me because in our class before sermon on Sunday, we talked about idols and how obviously it's violating the first and most important commandment. There should be no other God. And I've definitely made myself into an idol, wanting what I personally want, something that's going to make me happy, and I've also been idolizing somebody else in my life. And it was really interesting that Tyler brought that point to my attention, because he definitely knocked me down a peg. And here's the thing with believers and unbelievers. I don't know what unbelievers think. They probably think that as Christians we put ourselves on a higher moral ground. And I will say that I thought that way when I was an unbeliever. Now that I am a Christian, now that I am a believer, I don't believe that I'm any more higher morally. And that's something important to note, because one of the things that unbelievers will bring up a lot is hypocrisy when it comes to the law, primarily in Leviticus when the topic of homosexuality comes up. And yes, I'm telling you that you're picking and choosing, but I also am picking and choosing in the same way that I'll eat meat or something like that. So I think it's important to understand that we're on the same moral ground. We're both horrible people. I just believe that I have a cloak of righteousness around me. That does not mean that I am exempt from any moral punishment. I mean, God is just, and He does punish those who sin. So I thought it was just really interesting that Tyler would bring that up, that he brought to my attention, that he knocked me down, because I feel like I was trying to be on a higher moral ground than he was at the time. And the Sunday morning sermon was really interesting because we're going over Psalm 13. We're talking about how David was praying to the Lord, feeling like the Lord was hiding his face from him. And I really thought that that's where I was, but I was like, you know what? That's actually not what's happening here. I'm actually taking my wants and I'm building a wall in between me and God. God is not hiding from me. I am actively building a wall. And instead of asking God to show himself to me, I've changed my view to be like, God, I want you to break down this wall that I have created between us. So in our study of First John, this relates to unbelievers. We are talking about spirits currently and how the spirits will test us. And I think it's important to understand that when it says that the spirits are going to test us, I am in 1 John 4:1, for anybody who's wondering. It's important to understand that a test does not mean they're going to tempt you with sin. Obviously, spirits that are not of God are going to be doing that. But it's interesting when sometimes you look at an unbeliever and you say, yeah, they're the ones that are right in this situation. It's important to understand this. And it's interesting because we are in a world right now where Christians are all about being good people. And I believe that I am a sinner saved by the grace and the grace of God alone. But there are a lot of places that are stressing being good people, like Catholics, for example. However, it just breaks down because what standard of good are you going off of? I am using the Ten Commandments, and by those standards, I have broken them. We've all broken them at some point. So it's really important to understand that. So it's just really interesting how an unbeliever comes in and totally breaks down what you're saying. And yeah, they put their own little twist on it at the end. And I'm not saying that you should go and apply what they want you to do. What I'm saying is that they make very valid points, and the fork in the road starts with their belief. We, as moral people, have a discernment between right and wrong. And when you both agree that something is wrong, now we come to the fork in the road of here's where an unbeliever is going to go, and here's where the Christian is going to go. So I just think it's really important to take unbelievers into consideration when you are talking to them, understanding that you are not any morally higher than them. Of course, it is really important now that we get into the gospel where we do need them to be saved. There are good people. There are. There are some moral people who hold standards that are unbelievers, and it is so incredibly sad. It makes my heart just sink, especially Tyler. He is an amazing person. He loves so many people. Unfortunately, he's just not able to have the kind of fellowship with me that I would like to have. He's going down a path that is not following Christ, and all I ask from God is that he would show Tyler. Show him the evidence that Tyler so desperately desires. And all I pray for other people that are unbelievers is that they would understand that Christians are not looking to tear them down. We're not looking to say that they are immoral people. They have simply broken a law in which their good deeds are not going to save them from. Christ is the only person that is going to pay your fine. And I say person because Christ is 100% man and 100% God. He came in the flesh to be a living sacrifice. And on that note, I think this is a great place to wrap up. I would also like to say that I had a wonderful conversation with my good friend Hope today, and she is an amazing girl, and I am so extremely blessed that she is marrying one of my best friends, Zach. And the reason I bring that conversation up is that we had such a deep spiritual conversation, and we talked about being Christ-like. We talked about striving for perfection. These were awesome things. My conversation with Hope and my conversation with Tyler, I would say that they are so incredibly... The word I want to use is encouraging. The word I want to use is helpful. They all help me. And it's incredible how, even though maybe me and Hope have a more deeper conversation because of our bondage together through Christ, it's still incredible to see that I can still take away conversations from unbelievers as well as believers. And that's where I would like to end off today. So, I praise God for the people He's put in my life. You should as well. Be thankful for the people He has put in your life. And I will see you guys next time.